one of the biggest issues that people face when they want to move abroad is figuring out how to support themselves. Probably the most popular way to support yourself while living abroad is teaching English. But everybody doesn't want to do that. Today, we're going to talk about other ways to finance your life abroad besides teaching English. If you're new here, hey, I'm Adelia Borishade. I help Black women master their money, get their FU money together, develop the financial confidence they need to be able to live the life of their dreams, no matter if that is traveling the world, if that is moving to another country, or if that's just quitting their job and, selling potholders on Etsy, whatever it is. I help with that. If that sounds like something you'd like to know more about, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Let's get started. Okay, so there are two ways to look at this. Either you will finance your life abroad by working for someone else or by working for yourself. So we'll start today's conversation looking at ways to finance your life abroad by working for someone else. So if you are looking for work that will take you abroad, first thing I suggest is you get your LinkedIn profile together. In the past, we've kind of used LinkedIn more as a resume, but we really need to look at it as a way to market and sell yourself to potential employers, and also take advantage of the thousands, if not millions, of companies that post their openings on LinkedIn and actively do recruiting through LinkedIn. Another option for working for someone else abroad is as a corporate transfer. I think a lot of people get caught up in, well, I want to move to France. How do I find a job in France? That is one way to go, but that might not be the best option to yield the most results. Working for a multinational corporation in your home country, like the United States or Canada, and positioning yourself within that multinational corporation so that you can be transferred to an overseas post is an excellent way to achieve your dream of living abroad and having someone else pick up the tab. Typical expat packages will include, of course, your salary and your benefits, but also housing, travel, as well as shipping of your belongings. It's a whole lot easier to move abroad if you've got the help of your job versus trying to do it on your own. There are a lot of multinational corporations that promote from within, that have offices all around the world. Just to name some: Booking.com, Facebook, Audible, Asana, TripAdvisor, HP, Procter & Gamble. These are all, and you can do something like, maybe you're an accountant, you work in accounting, you work in marketing. You could have, it's just about aligning yourself in a company with the goal and making it happen. So I don't think enough people look at it that way. They focus too much on trying to get a job in the local country. Something you've got to remember is that just like in the United States, other countries are trying to protect jobs and keep them for locals. For instance, in Mexico, once upon a time, I used to have a Mexican work visa, and part of getting that visa, the company I worked for had to prove that I was uniquely qualified for the position, that they couldn't hire a Mexican to do it. I believe there's also a rule about what percentage of your workforce can be occupied by people who are not Mexican. So to me, it seems so much easier if we're going to use that word, to focus on working at a company that has offices around the world and using them to help you get abroad. Another option, working for somebody else, which is incredibly lucrative, is becoming a government contractor. The United States government has people all over the world. Some of them work for like the State Department, some of them do other things. The US government hires people to do all sorts of jobs in their offices, in their facilities, during their projects around the world. So working as a government contractor, and I will say, you don't necessarily need a military background. I've had a guest on my podcast before, and she does not have a military background. Her background is actually in architecture, and she did some stuff in development and logistics, and actually couldn't get hired with the State Department directly, but was hired by a contractor to work for the State Department. So I'm going to include a link in the description to a list of contractors, government contractors and recruiters. If that's something, I think that's something worth exploring. I can't really give you in this video the depth of the kinds of opportunities that are available, but trust me, there are a ton of them. The other option, of course, is to get a job strictly that is remote work, preferably with a company that will not have issues with you working outside the United States. I think we are going to see remote work become much more normalized now in the wake of the pandemic. In the description, I'm also going to put a link to some of the different websites that you can use to find remote work. And when we say remote work, don't assume that it's all about being a programmer or a coder. Are those the same thing? I don't even know. There are lots of companies that have like regular schmegular kind of jobs. Like you can be an accountant, but just work remotely. If that's a company that has a remote work culture, you can be an accountant. Okay, so don't close yourself off to the possibilities because you assume you have to have certain tech skills and that sort of thing. The biggest takeaway for you is think outside the box and don't assume it is not possible for you, because it quite possibly is. What are some options to finance a life abroad that don't require you to work for somebody else? And before you say it, that you don't want to have your own business, hear me out. In the video, which I will link up here, where I talked about visas, there has been an increase in the number of countries around the world that have like digital nomad, remote worker visas. But also, there's a lot of countries that will give you a visa if you have your own company. That company can be you, okay? Or your company can qualify you for the digital nomad or the remote worker visa. So don't assume like, I don't want to, I don't want to start a business. I don't want to have my own company. It doesn't have to be a big company. But if you are willing to go into business for yourself, you can definitely open up some opportunities. These are some jobs or opportunities that I don't think people think of this more as an opportunity to think outside the box, okay? You could create a business that provides products for expats, for foreigners living in your target country. For example, I don't think there is a week that goes by in some of the Black Mexico expat groups where somebody doesn't ask, hey, where can I get grits? Okay, y'all know I'm a picky eater. I don't eat grits, but apparently there are thousands of Black people around the world and non-Black people who would like to eat grits but have difficulty getting them. Okay, seasonings, any kind of, like their favorite potato chips, candy bars, soda, all of those things. You could have a business providing those kinds of food products to foreigners in your desired country. I just saw a post the other day about it's a UK food store, and prices had gone up because of Brexit. But that's a thing. If they can do that, so can you. Makeup is another product, especially if your target country is in Southeast and East Asia, where they often put bleaching products in makeup, or, like somebody like me, if I wore makeup, I would not want to use products that have bleaches in them. I can tell you that my skin tone is not something easy to find. Like when I was in China, I couldn't buy any makeup there if I wanted to because they didn't have my color. So what I want y'all to do is to think outside the box. Think about what services, what products can you provide. I did a whole video on hair care options in Mexico. This has virtually been the same pretty much for every country I have lived in. So specific hair care products, hair extensions, braiding hair, that's a whole market right there. Skincare products. Again, like I mentioned, if you're in Southeast Asia, where they are probably adding bleachers to the skincare products, if you want shea butter, somebody has to provide those things. I'm telling you that there is a demand for these kinds of products. You could fill that demand and that be your business, and the income from that business can then support you while you live abroad. The income for that business could be the income you use as the basis to get your residency visa. I think we need to let go of thinking it only has to be one way, that I have to have like a regular 9-to-5 kind of job, because that's not true. Larger size clothing, larger size shoes in particular. If you could figure out some way to provide that to expats living in different countries, that might be a financially successful venture. Because I see it over and over again, like where can I find a size 12 shoe or something bigger than that? Because they just don't have that here in Mexico. In the same vein as that is providing services to expats. Maybe you don't want to deal with the logistics of importing products and having physical inventory. There are services that expats need. And why couldn't you be the person to provide those services? Services like accountants. Expats have to file taxes. They need accountants. They need tax preparers. They need lawyers. Because think about it, an expat sort of has their foot in two worlds, their new country and their home country. If you've got this skill set in their home country, they still need access to people like you, so you can provide that service. Bookkeeping, therapists. I can't tell y'all how many posts I have seen where people have asked for an English speaking therapist for their kids, for themselves, marriage therapy, all kinds of therapy. Again, these aren't things I think people normally think about as a way to fund their life abroad, but it's totally doable, I think. Health insurance. If someone cannot or does not want to use local health insurance and they're looking for an American-based policy or a policy that insures Americans abroad, if you sell insurance in the US, you can sell insurance to expats. Hairstylists, if you know how to do hair, if you know how to do locks, maintain locks, install locks, start locks, I'm telling you, I see posts every day for people looking for service providers like this. If you think about how many people are digital nomads and moving from country to country, what kinds of service needs might they have? You know, the most obvious one is virtual assistant, because if they're running their online business internationally, they need assistance with that. Why can't that be you? Why can't you be a virtual assistant specifically to digital nomads? Because their needs are going to be slightly different than those of people who are based in their home country. That to me would be a great business to get into. And what other services do coaches, digital nomads, video editing, digital marketing? They need somebody to run their social media. I mean, y'all, if you haven't put it together yet, really the possibilities are endless. I think what you really need to do is take a look at what skills you have, what industry you're currently in, and see how you can flip that and maximize that into supporting a life abroad. If you have found this video to be useful, I would greatly appreciate it if you could give it a thumbs up. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe to the channel, and I'll see y'all next time.